I would understand it almost if a guy acted that way. That's that age.
Right. You're talking, think about after game one.
Yeah.
Right. And think about the last 2.5 months since the All-Star break. Who's the next face of the NBA? Who's the next?
All that.
Then he has that big game one. Oh, look at Anthony Edwards, the next face of the
dunk.
NBA. Yeah.
That was replayed like globally for 3 days that he had, right?
Yeah.
All that stuff.
The moment with KD in game one where he's yapping at him after the bucket.
Yeah.
And it's like, then to carry himself that way,
I was
in an off game,
so impressed, man. Because that was a question I had about them with a guy that young as your best player and his polish to close games and whatnot. I was wondering about that. Their defense is incredible. I fall in love with that team more and more every night that I watch them. I probably haven't given them enough credit all season as a legitimate threat. Their fans, I think, probably feel that way about me, which is fine. But they're growing on me every single night, and I was so impressed with his maturity on a night when he didn't have it offensively. He was a leader despite that. And I think that's a massive step forward for him and his evolution as a player, because he definitely has the competitive will to be great. He wants it. And some nights it's not going to be your night. How do you conduct yourself? And I thought you couldn't ask any more out of him in game 2.
Tim, always a pleasure.
Hey, JJ.
This has been fun.
Yeah, man.
And we'll talk to you soon.
You got it.
All right, let's welcome in Trey Wingo and Kevin Frazier, co-hosts of Alternate Routes. Alternate Routes is the latest sports podcast from Wondery. We are co-producers of that, 342 Productions. Guys, you've put out 8 episodes so far. This podcast explores the what-if moments in sports history. There's been a bunch of great episodes. We were just talking about that off air. Do each of you have a favorite sort of deep dive what-if episode you've done so far?
Our first what if is that if people will call it routes or routes, because that's we go alternate routes, but people love routes. They look at it and they're like, Route 66, or But we go routes. We went routes because we don't have the sponsorship from a certain Canadian company.
Yeah, that was our big thing. The hardest part was how are we going to describe the name of this thing? But they've been great. I think I don't know, has the Kevin, has the Magic Johnson one come out yet? Has that dropped yet? I'm not sure.
It has not dropped yet.
Okay, that might be our favorite. We took the coin toss that gave the Lakers the number 1 pick in the 79 NBA draft instead of the Bulls. And we basically said, okay, well, what happens if the Bulls win that coin toss? How does that change basketball for decades as we know it? And somehow, some way, we came up that if the Bulls had won that coin toss and they get Magic Johnson, somehow Charles Barkley and not Barack Obama becomes the first African-American president of the United States, which I thought was really good. So that's as far out as you can go. And you'll be looking forward to that when it drops in a little bit.
I mean, I think every episode we delve into all the sports stuff, but then we also look at how things would have changed. Like, how would have things changed for a guy like Reggie Theus, or somebody like, what would how different would his career have been if he doesn't, run into Michael Jordan and they butt heads, because Michael Jordan never comes because Magic is there.